Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next session in Steward Your Story. I am so excited to be here with you. I have the wonderful Donna Edman with me today. Donna is the author of a book called Women in Wisdom, Honoring Their Grace, Strength, and Beauty. She is a phenomenal photographer, and she has a beautiful gift of capturing the essence and the story of people as she takes their pictures. I am so glad you are here, Donna. Welcome, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
So glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. We are going to talk a little bit today about marketing and how to use emails in your marketing campaigns, marketing your book. But before we do that, I want to just share this amazing book with you and just talk to Donna a little bit about her journey as an author. So Donna, before we jump into the nitty-gritty, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you love? How did you get into photography?
Yeah, well, I live in Southern California in the Los Angeles area. And on the second time that I retired, I picked up a camera. My career journey has been a social worker and then in IT. And then in social work again. And that last social work period was working as a geriatric care manager. And so I worked with families with people who have dementia. And I just found I had this love for older people and for their families. So I kind of, with the photography, I've always done some kind of art, just never valued it. Just like maybe some authors may think I want to write as a hobby, but don't value it as a career. You know, I didn't value art as a career. I thought when you grew up, you did business. So I did business. And now it's really exciting to be able to call myself an artist and to live that passion, to live that dream, you know, of being an artist. And I just happened to choose photography because I can't draw.
Oh, well, yeah, I used to go to art school, so I loved, yes, and I had photography as a subject, loved it, but never really picked it up or did anything with it going forward. But anyway, so I am absolutely in awe of people who do that, who take, you know, their craft and their skill and their talent and run with it and do awesome things. So tell me a little bit about your book, Women of Wisdom. When did you feel called to write that book and how did that all came about?
You know, I had a wonderful mother who shepherded me, who guided me, but not everybody has a wonderful mother who can shepherd them and guide them. And so I had always wanted to do something about elders and the wisdom that they have. And because I was so close to my mom, I thought, okay, then you got to start narrowing down, you know, what I wanted to do. So I wanted to do something with women, older women, and the wisdom that they could share with the world, with people that, you know, might not have that wonderful mom. And so I set this on the back burner for 2 years because I couldn't figure out, you know, how to get it started. I can do the photography, I can do the portraits, but I wanted to do something more than just portraits. I originally wanted to, it was during COVID when I actually did these portraits. And so I wanted to just start, you know, provide elderly women, oh, not elderly, women over 50. I don't consider myself elderly, but women over 50 to come in and I'll just create a beautiful, authentic portrait and give that to them as a gift. That was kind of what I was doing as a personal project during COVID. And it just expanded from there, which is interesting because from a corporate background, especially from the IT part, you have a plan, you work a plan because you don't want to change from the plan. So you have to start with this detailed plan. And I didn't have a detailed plan, which is why I couldn't get it started. And my friend said, why don't you just start? And I'm like, I can't start. I don't have a plan. And I would think like maybe for authors, it's like, I can't start writing because I don't have an outline, or I can't start writing because I don't have the full concept, you know. And I learned my journey was to just start. And the other thing is my dad had said, if you can't do something right, don't do it at all.
Wow.
So I think he meant do your best, I don't think he meant anything like thwarting or, trying to hold me back in life, but I took it that way. So I didn't take risks. If I couldn't be successful in something on my own, I didn't start it, which was really a narrow kind of life to live, a perfectionist life to live. I am a perfectionist, a recovering perfectionist. And this journey for this book, to start something and let it flow was very new for me. It was totally stepping outside my whole realm of how life works.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to ask for help, so I didn't start. And my friend said, why don't you just start and then ask for help? It seems so simple,
Yes.
but it was outside my frame of mind. It wasn't my mindset of how the world worked for me. And when I did start, people invited people who invited people, and it just grew. There's 49 women, who I ended up with, in the book. And when I asked for help, people didn't judge me harshly. They were actually honored that I asked their opinion. I thought, what? Well, this is kind of cool. It's almost a gift to someone to ask for help.
I mean, that is wisdom in itself today. If you only get that from this conversation, you're winning. It's okay to ask for help.
Exactly. So anyway, people invited people, and I started with 2 and, ended up with people from all over Southern California that came. So, and they're everyday women. So kind of the premise of the book is everyday women, 50 and older.
Mm-hmm.
They have their authentic portrait, and I say authentic, we maybe talk about that later. I think it's important. My style is authentic portraits. So I don't do boudoir. I don't do the glamour portraits. I just think it's really important to capture who we are, because people love us as we are. Right?
Yes.
They don't love us because we do fancy makeup and hair. They love us because of who we are. And to have that as a treasure for your family, treasure for your legacy, I think that's really important, to have authentic portraits. So they're authentic portraits. They were asked to answer 2 questions. And so they did the writing in the book. I only wrote the introduction. The rest of the text is all from the participants. And I asked them the question, how would you advise your 20-year-old self?
Wow.
So I said, when you go to bed, everything's calm now. It's only you and your thoughts. Think about who you were when you were 20. What decisions were you making? What were you wearing? Who were the people in your life? And now that you're 50 and older, because they're 50 to 96 was the age span, how would you now advise your younger self? Not somebody else, right? It was very personal and so inspirational.
Yeah.
So inspirational.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely amazing. And I can only imagine the treasure trove of wisdom that must be in that book.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What a beautiful idea as well, to capture these amazing stories and wisdom from these incredible women. That's so cool.
Bold, right?
Yeah, amazing. So tell us a little bit about your authoring journey. Did you have any highs and lows with publishing the book, or what was the part you loved and what was the part you maybe didn't love so much?
The authoring part was more, the book itself was more conceptual than it was me sitting and writing, journaling and writing and having that writing sort of, it wasn't a writing book for me so much as a putting pieces together book. So I had no idea how to do that. And so I spent probably 6 months trying to figure out, how do you do this? And again, I asked for help. So people were directing there. And one of the important things that I was asked is, what's the purpose of your book? Is it to put your story out there? Do you want other people to see it? If you do, you got to market it. Right? Yes. Are you writing for yourself? Or are you writing for others? Right. And what kind of income are you expecting? Because as a new author, you're not going to get rich writing a book. So I wrote, when I answered that question, it was to help people see my work, see my heart, and want to come in and have their portraits done. Yes. So it was a client, building base for me. And that has worked. That has worked. I've sold books as well, which is really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the project was in a museum. It just closed a 3-month run in a museum. So all these women's wisdom, which was my whole goal, was to give them a voice and share that voice in a platform. The platform was the book, and then the museum.
Yeah, I love that so much because you were helping these women steward their stories. I mean, how many of them would ever write a book? But you have taken their stories and you've put it out into the world. And I just think that's such an incredible thing to do.
There's a documentary done as well.
Wow.
So there's and the other thing they did is, which I thought was pretty cool, is the curator said, if I'm trying to share their stories and share their voices, why don't we put a QR code next to on the label of the portrait so that people can listen to them read from the book.
Wow.
So, yeah, wow. I thought, that's hearing their voice.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And so they read their portion from the book. You know,
that
so
is amazing.
See their portrait, they could actually hear their voice reading their advice to their 20-year-old self, and then a peek into their personal story. Those are the two pieces that they wrote.
Wow, that's so creative. So creative. And
I was just saying, it just evolved, right?
Yes.
I didn't have it planned.
Yeah. And what's incredible as well is seeing what God does with your yes.
Yes.
Like you just say yes, and he takes this little concept that you have and he just expands it and multiplies it and grows it. It's incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the marketing part of your journey, can you tell us a little bit about that and what your experience is with marketing that book?
Marketing in general, I would, shall I maybe make suggestions to the people who are listening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll say what I did. So what I did,
yeah.
I'll turn it around. So what I did was about 9 months before I knew I was going to have it published and receive it, right? So about 9 months ahead of time, kind of plan as I plan. So 9 months out, I started putting excerpts on social media. So here's lady number one, and here's an excerpt from her advice, and here's an excerpt from her story. You know, watch for the launch of the book, right? So so teasers for quite a long time before. So every week on social media, I would put every week or so, I'd put a woman and her advice or a woman and her story, and so I just kind of little teasers along the way. And I think that was very helpful. And that was on Instagram. And I have a larger following on Facebook, actually on my personal Facebook page than my business Facebook page. But on Instagram, I started doing that on Instagram as well, because sometimes people look at both or one or the other. So I duplicated that on both platforms. And then I already had a good size good size email list. Yeah. I have about, I should have looked before I came. I think there's around 850 maybe people on my list. And I'm talking about the email list. The purpose of the email campaigns is to build a relationship with your readers, right? Yeah. It's not to like always say, this is all about me. It's like if you're in a conversation and the person always, I gotta get it to your order, only talked about themselves. That would be kind of boring, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's many different things that you can include in an email, and emails I think should be very short. So if you want to write a blog, and then take excerpts from that, a teaser from that. Maybe if it's a three ideas about something, you know, take one of those ideas and put that in the email with a link to the full blog. The emails that I get that are a lot of text, I don't even start reading them. I could, but I don't. And I tend to do bullets, you know, and I tend to just center things on the page on whatever will fit on the screen. You know, you think about that above the fold kind of writing. So that sort of thing, just a little bit. and then you can link to something else. And it should be a conversation. So when whatever topic you choose, and we can go through some topic ideas, think of a question that your reader can answer back to you, and then answer them. Be sure you answer, right? We can never be too busy to not nurture our readers.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
So whatever you decide to do on social media or on your email campaigns, take time to build and nurture that relationship.
That's it. I always think that if somebody's willing to part with their email address, they are invested in who you are as a person. They want to connect with you, you know, and they want to get to know who you are. And so that email campaign really is about building connection, building your tribe, building the people you want to do life with. So, I always look at it from that perspective rather than I'm going to sell my book to these people, to these people.
We do those sell, I'm selling you something once in a while.
Yeah.
But it might be every quarter, once a quarter.
Yeah.
And you're talking about my email list. I only send 2 a month, every other week, about 2 a month. Sometimes 3 if there's 5 weeks. It depends. It's kind of like every other week is when it goes out. And I think it's important to, when you're starting a campaign, to let people know what to expect. So you'll expect an email from me in your inbox, twice a month or every other week. And I think we can do all kinds of content besides selling.
Yes. Yeah.
And, testimonials are much more effective than selling yourself. So when you're asking people for testimonies, if you have a following already who's read your book or read a previous book, ask them for a testimony, and having someone else say what a wonderful book this is, what a wonderful author you are, what a wonderful way of a style of writing that you have. If someone else is saying that, it goes a lot further.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely.
And I know for a lot of authors, it can be quite uncomfortable, singing your own praises. It's always good to hear it from someone else's perspective. That's awesome. I just want to quickly share with the viewers and the listeners that Donna has put together this resource that is absolutely awesome. It's bullet point of just everything to think about when you put together your email campaigns, and you can get a PDF copy of this resource by emailing her. Her contact details is in the content of this post, and I'm also going to drop it into the comments. So it's really good. It's only short, but it's excellent stuff to think about, because you talk about where to put that link for people to sign up. You talk about your welcome sequence. You give some ideas about what emails can include. And it's great. So I love what you say here about a pre-order offer. Can you tell us some of your experience with pre-order offer?
The experience was I had no experience. I didn't even know what it was. Someone said you should do a pre-order. I'm going, what's that? So when I figured out what it might be is I was having a launch party, and I invited the women who were in the book, anybody they wanted to invite, and then all the people who had been supporting me along the way, all the people who locally who had been commenting, and it was one of the emails, come to the launch party. So for the launch party, I wanted, for each book, I don't sell on Amazon, and I want to have every book that goes out, I want to be able to write a personal message in it to the person who's going to be receiving it, whether it's a gift for someone or if it's for themselves, with my signature. And I can do that if I'm doing the book orders. And I have enough time to do that. I just put a stack of books in my garage, and there they are, right? I think it's worth that relationship and that connection with my reader to do that. If I was selling hundreds a week, I probably wouldn't do that, but I'm not. So I'm selling enough that I can write a personal message in each one. So for the pre-orders, I wanted to be able to write those messages. And so if they could order them ahead of time, then I had time to sit down and write my messages and put my signature in each book. But also it was income coming in for my first order.
Yeah.
Right. If they're pre-ordering, then I had some income coming in to order that bag batch. And boy, we had stacks of books at the launch party, that were already ordered. And it made the party really fun. People just went, and I had someone help, hand out their book. Right.
Wow. Awesome.
So I kind of combine that with having income come in ahead of time, pre-orders, having income come in ahead of time with the signing process, and make it a special gift for the person who is receiving it.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's brilliant.
What pre-orders were to me. Maybe what do they mean to you? What are pre-orders for you?
No, I was just wondering how you implemented that. I can't remember. I think, oh yes, with my book Untangled, I had a devotional that I gave away if people pre-ordered the book. Yes. But that was such a while ago. I haven't done it with any of my other books, and I'm wondering whether I'm missing out on maybe some real opportunity here to kind of get some exposure and some excitement and kind of something leading up to my launch. So it's definitely given me some food for thought. Awesome. Okay, so I want to ask you a little bit, because I know you were working on your next book or another project. I'm going to ask you about that in a bit, but before I do that, I want to ask you if you could give advice to somebody who's brand new to stepping out in the writing world, and what would you tell them?
I would ask them a question. I would ask them, are you writing for yourself or are you writing for others? Mm-hmm. If you're writing for yourself, that's wonderful. It's a neat thing to write for yourself, and then to have something tangible, right, when you're finished. And maybe it's writing for yourself and your family, or writing for yourself and your relatives, or your friends. That's one thing. If you're writing for others in general, that you want to sell your book to a larger audience, then figure out how to do business, right? The business portion of it. So hire a consultant if you can, or read things that other people have done that are helpful. Yeah. Hire you.
Yes. Yes. I can help.
It's asking for help. So
yes.
For help,
yeah,
to learn how the business of marketing and getting your book out. So writing's one piece, and the other piece is the business side. So because I had done the business side, I just hadn't done the writing side. I just had someone else do the writing, right? So the book is really someone else's writing. I only did 2 pages in the whole book, but but I had the participants do the writing. So for me, that worked out for me. Because yes. I'm not a writer, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a brilliant concept. I love that. But I think it's such a gift that you actually had the business experience before you did the book, because for so many authors, including myself, I had no idea that I was stepping into a world that was much bigger than writing a book. And I love the question that you shared, because it's at the core of everything. I thought that writing my book was going to be about my story and sharing my story with the world. But I didn't realize that actually it's about the reader's story. If my story doesn't connect to what they need, and what if they can't find their story within my story, then they don't have a reason to buy my book or to read my book. So I had to ask that question: what is my problem? What problem is my book going to solve for the reader? Why would they need to read my story? What is my story going to do for them? So I love that question. I think it's an important one, is why are you writing your book, and who are you writing it for? Because if you can be very specific about who that person is that you want to reach, the better chances will be that you're going to reach the person. If you just write a book for everybody to read, you're not gonna hit the mark. You're not gonna get that book into the hands of the people who really need to read it.
Well, in your marketing strategy, you need to know who your target audience is. So if your reader is more specific, if you have a more specific reader, you can dive deeper into your marketing campaign. to build a relationship with that specific kind of reader,
Yeah.
they'll share the book with somebody else. I mean, they'll say, this is a great book, somebody else that's not, in your marketing list, right? But the more specific that your target market is, just as you said, then you can be more specific in how you develop that relationship with those readers.
Yes.
Right? It's like when you go to, I don't know if your writers, your writers, your authors are participating in networking groups, but in networking groups they do Mary Kay. They say, my client, my referral, best referral is anyone who has skin. Well, it's like, so for your authorship, you can't have the best reader is everybody.
Yes.
My best referral for a reader is everybody. Just as that was so insightful, what you said. That's great. Yeah. How do you tell your story in a way that includes the reader's story?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. Yeah. Cool.
And I think the most important learning point that actually came out of this discussion was to ask for help when you are stuck with your writing your book and marketing your book. That's why we're here. I asked for help. I needed to learn from some people who have been doing this for a while. Okay, Donna, so what are you working on next?
It's called a legacy project. And similar to what this one was, but I'm including men and women, again, elders. And so photographing an elder, photographing their family who are local that can participate, photographing the things that are important to them, their treasures, and photographing old photographs. And then each elder will be a chapter in the next book. And then also each story of that person's legacy will be something that they can purchase if they want on their own, Amazing. For their own family. And so again, I'm not doing the writing. So the elder of the family will write a narrative for each of those photographs. So that idea started with me before my Women of Wisdom book. Because I found a jar of buttons that were my mom's, and they were her gray lady buttons. And gray lady buttons are buttons that would be on a uniform when she was a volunteer at a hospital. Wow. And to me, it represents her life of service, and it so much incorporates who I am. And so those buttons mean a lot to me. But when I pass, it's a jar of buttons if it doesn't have a story.
Wow.
Right. So it's attaching the stories to the things we have. And then I have a whole album of photographs from my mom that I don't know who any of the people are.
Wow.
Right. So it's like the stories need to go with the things. So story writing is so important.
Yes. Yeah. Stories are powerful. They really are powerful.
Yeah. So that project is called the Legacy Project, men and women. So it's elders, and then helping their family understand who they were, who they are now, that brings them to who they are now. Because as I had mentioned, I work with people with dementia. And, when you first meet someone with dementia, you only see them now. I guess with everybody, we only see us who we are now. We don't see our whole story. We don't know who we were before we are now. I guess that was kind of silly to say that. But I think it's important for families to know who the whole person is, as much as they can tell, as much as the family can tell. So when I ask the family to participate, I give them a list of questions that they can prompt a conversation with their family member. There's 52 questions. They can pick and choose, what they want to talk about. And it's a way of families connecting with families.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and sorry?
I was just going to say, in the writing style, we write as we speak if we're not professional authors, right? We just kind of write as we speak. And so I think it's important to leave that as it is in the book that I do, not to edit.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So, which is what I found with the Women of Wisdom book. I started to touch up the grammar and I thought, wait, this is their voice. That was the whole purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, that will definitely give it another dimension of authenticity for sure. For sure. And I know I noticed on your website that if anybody's interested in participating in that project, they can get in touch with you.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Through my website, through my email, and maybe you could pop those in at some point.
Yes. Yeah.
If
So
you want to purchase the book, it's on my website, and then, or you can email me. It's always a conversation with somebody who would like to own the book, because I want to write that personal message.
yeah,
So I would reach out to you once you reach out to me.
that's brilliant. Donna, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your experience and this incredible creative book. It was so lovely to meet you and to talk to you today. And I just want to remind everybody that Donna's details are in the description of this post. And also it'll be in the comments. So make sure you reach out to her. Don't forget to get this incredible resource. I'll put it in the YouTube link as well. Honestly, it is so good. If you haven't done newsletters, landing pages, those kind of things, you want to kind of start thinking about what you can do to create that community, to build your audience, to start creating an email list, this is a wonderful resource. So do reach out to Donna and get a copy. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Donna, for being here.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It was delightful.
Oh, awesome. Bye, everyone.